What do you enjoy most about telling a good story?
Oh man, that's a difficult question to answer because there's so many aspects of telling a good story. First of all, um, I love finding out that the story you told was good, because you don't always know. I mean, writing is subjective, and storytelling, whether or not you're literally, physically telling a story to someone by mouth, or if you're writing it down, or if it's recorded, you don't always know if it's a good story. I mean, you might have indications. It might be a story that's been told many times, but of course you always put your spin on it. It's like telling a good joke.
Right.
I could, be telling, the old one about the priest and the rabbi walking into a bar, et cetera, et cetera. But you're always gonna put your own spin on it. So it's always good to find out from someone and say, oh wow, that was a really good story. It's a wonderful, positive, happy, fuzzy feeling.
Yeah.
To know that the story you told was good. There's also the enjoyment of the storytelling process itself. I used to act when I was younger, and I always enjoyed physically like getting into it and getting excited, and finding your dramatic beats, and watching as someone is kind of hanging on to the story, and to know that you've got them, that you've captured their interest. That's fascinating and very edifying. And from a kind of a literary standpoint or a narrative standpoint, it's fun to go through this process, and to have someone hooked on not necessarily your every word, but to have someone wanting to find out what comes next. And that applies as well to the written word. Finding out the best way to make a story good, or to tell this story well, so that someone is always asking, it's like, wow, like this is fascinating. I want to learn more. I want to find out what happens. You have to, the hard part about doing this in a literary context is that you have to assume that someone is asking these questions. But when you're in the process of writing it all down, it's oftentimes very difficult to get that one-on-one feedback. If when you're a musician and you're playing a song, like immediately if people are into it. Because they're rocking out and having a good time, or you can tell by the expressions on their faces. But when you're writing, you don't have that the access to that feedback immediately. So you kind of have to go through versions of your story, and hopefully you have a trusted first reader or a trusted editor that's going to help you through that. And then finally, when you're done with it, you're usually kind of sick of it, and you have to step away from it for a little bit, but. Every now and again, my first book was published several years ago now, and I still get, some random fan letters here and there, and it's, it's a wonderful feeling because you don't have that, feedback, like I said, when you're in the process of writing or editing, and once you send it into the world, it's tempting to just kind of forget about it, to forget the fact that it's still out there, it still has a life, and the people are hopefully enjoying it.